Now, Benjamin Sesko for 70 million plus is very, very expensive and is very risky too. But Manchester United need a striker, and Benjamin Sesko has scored double-digit goals in the league for the last 3 seasons. So maybe it's a risk worth taking as Manchester United close in on the deal. I think he will be a good fit for Ruben Amorim because Manchester United will definitely have a front line of ball carriers, and that is very important. We're going to talk about all of that, how he's going to fit in with Matheus Cunha, Bryan Mbeumo, and what we could potentially expect from him in the upcoming season. Be sure to hit the like button, guys. Be sure to subscribe as well if you are new here. So now, just for some context, Manchester United have had a bid accepted from RB Leipzig. It's a total package of 85 million euros, which is just above 74 million pounds. But the actual package is a lot more upfront initially than what we expected. Initially, it was a 75 million euro plus 10 millions in add-ons, but now it's actually 82.5 million upfront, which is about 71 million pounds, and 2.5 million in add-ons. Now, of course, RB Leipzig would only probably look to sell to somebody who will make achievable add-ons, and of course Newcastle wanted him, but double-digit goals consistently for the last 3 years in a row, when he was at RB Salzburg for 1 year and then 2 years at RB Leipzig, and that doesn't even include the goals that he scored in other competitions. So he has a proven track record, if you want to say that, of scoring goals. Maybe not to a level of 20-25 in the league, but he had 13 goals in the league last season, 14 the year before that, including 4 goals in the Champions League last season as well, 4 as well in the German Cup. So he scored over 20 goals in all competitions for Leipzig, and that was an improvement on the year before where he scored 18 goals. Now, a lot of the goals that he actually scores, some he creates them for himself, but some is obviously a well-worked team goal. Now, one thing that we know about Benjamin Sesko, and you guys are going to see it as I go through the analysis, is that he loves to take shots from outside of the box. The guy will take shots as much as he can. Now, in comparison to, a striker like Ollie Watkins that we were linked to, Ollie Watkins is a much more, I think, conservative type of striker that takes opportunities in the box. In the box is where a lot of Ollie Watkins' chances came last season, whereas Benjamin Sesko is quite the opposite. He gets chances in the box, but also he won't hesitate to let one rip from outside of the box. And maybe that's what Man United need, is a confident goal striker or ball striker. Now, one thing about Benjamin Sesko, he can strike the ball very well, and we're actually going to go through it in this analysis. So make sure you hit the like button, and like I said, be sure to subscribe as well if you are new here. Now let's actually start with not his ball striking, but we're going to start with his link-up play, or maybe his ability to drive the ball forward. You see here, he picks up the ball in his own third, in his team's own third, and from there he looks up, and unconventionally, he might run in an unconventional manner. I'm not going to lie, sometimes he takes a touch, and in this particular clip, he takes a touch and kind of exceeds the touch, but his pace and his ability to use his body very well to shield the ball away from other people allows him to be able to be like, you know what, I took a heavy touch, but I can still chase that ball down. And he does exactly that in this clip. He takes a touch, gets away from the attacker, and he's able to drive. Now, at this point, he drives into a threatening place. He drives into a place where he's got 1, 2, 3, 4 people around him that have created a box around him. And because of like I said, his ability to use his body very well and his physical ability, he's not someone that I think we will see get caught up in a lot of wrestling matches as we've been used to seeing Rasmus Højlund do. And even if we do see that, I'm quite confident in that he will come out successful in those wrestling matches. But in this clip here, surrounded by 3-4 guys, he's got one option to him, and instead of that, he actually gets the ball out and he drives past all 4 of them comfortably. He shields the ball, drives with the ball, and his ability to, like I say, use his body very well and use his legs very well, because he's quite tall in his stature as well. I think that's another thing. He's quite tall in his stature, so he's able to do that, and he gets the ball away and he opens up RB Leipzig to hit on a break. Now, in this particular clip, now this is different because, like I said, the clip before here that I was showing, the screenshots that I'm showing you here, is more so what he offers away from goal. But this clip, or this screenshot that I'm about to show you, shows you exactly what he offers out in front of the goal. And I think he's well rounded in all those different abilities. He's someone that can create something in front of goal, but also he's someone that can help the team in the middle third, using his physicality, using his pace, using his ability to drive with the ball. He can help the team be able to utilize those skills, and like I said, having Bryan Mbeumo and Matheus Cunha as well, who excel in those attributes as well, That's three people that can progress the ball, that are physically strong, that maybe he doesn't have the best touch compared to the other two, but someone that can take a touch and drive the ball forward, get away from his man. God forbid Manchester United add Carlos Baleba to that midfield as well. That would be a team of ball progressors, people that can drive the ball forward, people that are physically dominantly strong as well. But this clip here, or this screenshot here, is exactly what he does as a striker. Now, earlier in the sequence, one of the RB Leipzig players picks up the ball in the own middle third. He gets off the striker's, he gets off of the defender's shoulder, sorry. So as a striker, you pick up those positions where when you're able to kind of do a body feint and get off the defender's shoulder and into space. That's exactly what he does here. And Benjamin Sesko, for me, he's not like other strikers that Manchester United necessarily have. He don't need a lot of touches. He takes one touch to separate himself from the defender. You see here, the defender is already blindsided. He's on his weaker side, and Benjamin Sesko takes that touch to get him away. One touch, drives into the space, and he strikes the ball from there, and it eventually leads to a goal. That it was something that the keeper could not stop. And this is what Benjamin Sesko has shown at RB Leipzig. But it's not just what he's shown that I think that I'm really intrigued about him contributing to Manchester United, but it's even the things that I think Manchester United lack. And that's what we're going to go into detail about. Now, you see here we've got a makeshift starting 11 of Manchester United. Guys, please forgive me because Carlos Baleba is not in here, but Benjamin Sesko is, and this is just a predicted starting 11. It's not necessarily what I imagine Man United will start with all the time. You see Bruno Fernandes here expected in the kind of deeper midfield role, but one thing that I'm really curious to see, and I said this on stream a couple of days ago, I'm very curious to see how Benjamin Sesko works with these two guys here in Cunha and Mbeumo. And the reason why I'm saying that is I'm actually not against the idea of potentially seeing a front two like this and having Bryan Mbeumo or even Matheus Cunha, if it's interchangeable, dropping into the traditional 10 role. Because one thing that I think, regardless of if Man United sign a midfielder and they sign Carlos Baleba, I think Manchester United will need support in that midfield. And I think between all three of them, maybe it's interchangeable, but I would be comfortable in believing that someone like Bryan Mbeumo could drop into these areas, or even Matheus Cunha, because we've seen him able to do it when he was at Wolves, drop into the traditional 10 roles. And with his physicality, with his link-up play, with his ability to drive with the ball, he can pick up the ball in the deeper spaces. Now, just with the assumption that this is Manchester United starting 11, with Benjamin Sesko. Now, obviously, we would expect Benjamin Sesko to play as the traditional kind of number 9. He'd be limited to kind of picking up these spaces here, more centrally, kind of the fact that Manchester United don't have those traditional 10s, they've got the wide 10s, but also these areas here against the opponent. Now, it's not necessarily the case, but it's one thing that I think that he can excel at. And another thing that I think he can excel at is coming off of different wide channels. So, for example, hypothetically speaking, Matheus Cunha could go into this area here with Patrick Dorgu darting up and down the wing. Benjamin Sesko could receive the ball from Patrick Dorgu in this instance here, and he can, again, like I said, similar to Matheus Cunha and Bryan Mbeumo, he can drive with the ball as well, coming off of this channel. And also another thing that we know that Benjamin Sesko can do is also come into these areas here. Now, if Manchester United are up against the opponent, and this is just hypothetical, guys, if Manchester United are up against, say, an Arsenal, and this is an Arsenal prediction that I kind of have how they would line up against Manchester United with their traditional kind of 4-4-2, I would anticipate that this would be someone like Zubimendi, this would be someone like Declan Rice, and one of the two 10s would have to drop in to these areas to support. Now, we already know, for example, Miles Lewis-Skelly, he will invert, he likes to invert, especially when Arsenal have possession, and I think that would allow Manchester United to also create overloads in the middle, because they've got players that can pick up the ball in these areas. Say Manchester United's midfield is on the back foot, and we see Bruno here, and we see Patrick Dorgu a lot more deeper, and we see Ahmad slightly deeper. I already know that someone like Benjamin Sesko could drop here and allow Matheus Cunha to make those runs into those passages of play. I already know that someone like Bryan Mbeumo could pick up the ball here, and Benjamin Sesko could drop here to create a makeshift front two. I also know that both Cunha and Bryan Mbeumo could drop into the deeper spaces, and they wouldn't necessarily do it, but we saw against Everton in the pre-season game where they were alternating between the two of them, between who would drop deep. But if they did drop deep and Manchester United created a box in possession and they're able to bounce the ball around in these box spaces, Benjamin Sesko has the option to drive into these spaces here, especially with Miles Lewis-Skelly picking up those more inverted roles. Amad Diallo has a lot of space here, and that would also create space here for Brian Mbeumo to go into. Now, this is just a prediction. This is just an assumption. It's not necessarily what I would imagine Manchester United would be able to do, but it's also something that I realise Benjamin Sesko at Manchester United can be utilised in so many different ways. He's technically gifted. He can drop deep. The fact that he can stretch the defence if necessary. He can play it as that 9. I am not worried about Benjamin Sesko. The only thing that I'm worried about is how long it might take him to adapt to the Premier League, and that is absolutely acceptable. People don't immediately make an impact, especially coming from a different league, and his hold-up play traditionally might not be that of a number 9. But when Man United, like I said, on that tactical board where they're playing with 2 10s who have good hold-up play, you don't necessarily, I think, need your 9 to be a hold-up maestro, because you've got the 2 10s to also do that, and it's quite a fluid front line, which I'm really excited to see. Manchester United have spent 200 million, or about to spend 200 million, on revamping that front line, and I am so excited to see how that looks, because if they add Carlos Baleba to it, and dare I say it, they add Donnarumma to it, Manchester United might have had the best transfer window in a long time, like over a decade. Absolutely, this would be the best transfer window. Now, let me know your thoughts about what you think Benjamin Sesko to Manchester United. Are you excited to see what he looks like? Do you guys want to see more of these tactical breakdowns during the season? I'm definitely planning to do them for Manchester United games, but even for other games. Let me know your thoughts down below, guys. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe as well if you're new here.